Hi, I'm Cressida Cowell and I am the writer of the How to Train Your Dragon books that were recently made into a film by DreamWorks Animation. I definitely dreamed of being a writer, although actually, because I hadn't met any writers, I didn't know that it was possible that I could be a writer. But I definitely dreamed of being either a writer of books, actually, or possibly of plays, or being an actress or a stand-up comedian or some kind of performer. I knew I wanted to be something creative, but I just didn't quite know how I could get there. But I definitely always I always made up stories as a child. I wrote lots of little books and short stories, but I always say to children, don't worry if you don't finish them, because for a child, finishing a whole book, which might take me a year, it is very difficult. It's just about practicing all the time, practicing writing and reading a lot, and if you're interested in writing for film or television, watching a lot of film and television. That's a very good question. I find that ultimately I'm more of a writer, although I am a very visual writer, but I find the writing more painful. I revise the writing again and again and again and again, and although it's very, very satisfying when it comes out right, I find it harder work. Whereas the illustration, because of my illustration style, which is deliberately very expressive and very, the drawings are very emotional. It's more direct, it comes out more easily in a way. So I would say I find the writing more difficult, but particularly satisfying when I think I've written something good. Yeah, that was quite something. I mean, quite extraordinary actually, because it's not something that I thought of at all when I was writing the book. I'd never imagined it would be, that hadn't even come across my mind. So it was extraordinary when that happened. And also I was a huge fan of animation when I was growing up. So to see that actually happen was extraordinary. Yes and no, because they are the filmmakers make the film. And for instance, the writer-director is the one who's really, Dean DeBlois, who is the one who wrote and directed How to Train Your Dragon 1, is in control, as it were. And film is a much more collaborative process than writing. If I'm writing, it's me doing everything. I'm drawing the pictures, I'm acting out the voices in my head, I'm being the sort of writer-director myself. That is what, writing a book is, really. Whereas film, it's a huge team, collaborative effort. In fact, both my children were the voice of Lola. My eldest daughter was the voice of Lola for the first television series, and my second one was the voice of Lola for the second television series. And that was a complete accident, because my children aren't actresses. But what happened was my great friend from school, Lauren Child, was the writer of Charlie and Lola, and she wanted to persuade the television company to use a child's voice. So she recorded my eldest daughter, who was about 4 at the time. Maisie was about 4. She recorded it to persuade the telly company to use Maisie's voice. And they then auditioned loads of little girls, but came back to Maisie, my daughter. Well, incredibly luckily, How to Train Your Dragon is one of my favourite films. I feel so proud of it, which I think is very, very lucky and very unusual for an author to be able to say that about a film that's made of their own book. But actually I love loads and loads of different films. a bit like I was saying, if you want to be a writer, read a lot. If you want to write for films and things, I think you need to watch lots and lots of different types of films. I would definitely say that you need to read a lot and watch a lot of telly. Kids, I'm telling you, watch a lot of telly. Watch a lot of telly, watch a lot of films, so that you can get a sense of the way that stories are told. And it's all about practice as well. I mean, it's about practice, about getting out there. Do you want to write books or draw, illustrate for books? You know, drawing, practicing writing. If you're interested in it, you know, get yourself a little camera, you know, if you can, or get hold of it, borrow it off your mum, you know, or use the phone. My children often create little films on the phone. And it's all about practicing and getting out there and trying to tell stories.